So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being part of this spiritual community. We know you have lots of choices in this time and space that we live in. And I'm glad you chose to be with us today. And if you happen to be watching this later on YouTube, welcome. So I want to start with a story, which is one that many of you have heard before. And it has to do with fear and the difference between fear and experience. So a man was walking to a town and he met Death walking on the road with him. And he asked Death what his intentions were with this town that was up ahead. And Death said, I'm going to kill 100 people. And the guy says, okay, fine, have a nice day or whatever. And so he meets Death coming back out of the town. And he calls him a liar because 1,000 people died instead of the 100 that he said he was going to kill. And Death replies, I only killed 100. The rest, the other 900, died from fear. Today, the talk title is Revealing Wholeness. And it's an important one right now in our world because there's so much angst and fear and worry and disarray in our minds in so many people's consciousnesses. And we have to remember to put our attention on remembering and revealing the wholeness that lives in and as each one of us. It's not easy. It's fairly straightforward, but it's not easy. And we get to practice it. And there are about 5 places I want to start today's conversation. So I'll just pick one of them and I'll jump right in. So as many of you know, Keith Gorley started a group a couple of weeks ago that's studying Frederick Bale's Hidden Power for Human Problems. It's a fabulous book. I don't think they've gotten to chapter 5 yet. So I'll start with that. Bales tells a story about a fearful woman who came to see him as a last resort. She'd been to doctor after doctor after doctor for 13 years, and none of them did her any good. She had tried absolutely everything, and nothing helped. Here's the conversation as Bales reported it. Her first words, Dr. Bales, I'm a very sick woman, and these doctors are all frauds. All they want is my money, and they do nothing for me. You are my last hope. If you can't heal me, I'm at the end of my rope. He replied, well, then you're in a bad situation because I have no power to heal anyone. She says, you're just being modest. I know you're a faith healer because you healed my brother-in-law of diabetes. He says, may I correct you on 2 points? In the first place, a faith healer is one who claims to have a healing gift. People have faith in his gift, and any benefit they receive comes from their faith in him without any intelligent understanding of the process involved. I have no gift of healing. I can heal no one. In the second place, when your brother-in-law was healed, it was not by me. It was by his own changed attitudes towards life. You too can be healed, but the entire transaction has to take place in your own mind. None of this is news to any of us who've been around the science of mind teaching for any length of time. We have 2 statements in our Declaration of Principles that make some folks a little bit uneasy, and they are the truth. They're really easy to say and lovely to think about, and they are challenging for most people because we're not willing to be that much in charge of our own life experience. I know it sounds harsh, but it's not. The 2 statements, we believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind, and we believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. There they are. So how often have you gotten a paper cut or had hot grease spatter on your hand when you were cooking at the stove, and immediately fell into that ouch, that hurt space, and then proceeded to focus on how much that hurt. It's not the initial reaction that turns into an owie and turns it into a thing of form. It's the persistent focus on how much it hurt. What would happen if instead of focusing on how much it hurt, you focused on releasing the experience and remembering your vibrant wholeness and health? Try it next time you have a little owie. That's why mommies and daddies kissing boo-boos always make them better. It's a shift in focus from what's wrong to what's right. It's not what happens to us that determines how we experience it. It's always how we think about it and how we choose to view, internalize, express, and perseverate about it. Perseverate is a fancy word that means to continually ruminate or think about an idea, feeding the negativity of the experience. So back to Freddie and the fearful woman. Freddie says, spiritual healing is quite different than faith healing. It rests in no person, but on the law of healing. This law cannot operate for you as long as you spend your whole time feeling your pulse and listening to your arteries harden. You have a companion who drives your car for you because you're afraid you will faint or have a heart attack in traffic. Have you ever fainted? She says, no, but I'm afraid someday I will. One of my doctors have said. He interrupts her. Mrs. Tremble, isn't that a great name for somebody who's afraid of their shadow? Mrs. Tremble, do you think you could learn to say, so what? Could you bring yourself to the point where you did not give even a snap of your fingers, whether you fainted or even died at the wheel? Could you say to your every flutter and palpitation of your heart, to every shortness of breath, to every feeling of distress in any point in your body, you are a bluffer. You are nothing trying to be something. You are a non-existent boogeyman trying to get out from under the bed. You are a child of my imagination. Come on, do your worst. From now on, I am going to laugh in your face. She says, but Dr. Bales, that would be tempting Providence. And I really do have a bad heart. He says, you are tempting Providence now by your constant brooding over your condition. We shall not debate the reality or otherwise of your symptoms. You say you have been doctoring for 13 years and continue to get worse. You couldn't get any worse if you said, so what? If I die, I die, and I'm not going to die daily in anticipation of it. Remember, the fear of dying is the surest road to dying. The woman was taken aback, obviously, by what she heard Bales trying to tell her, and she decided to try it. She threw away all the potions, and she devoted herself, this is the important part, she devoted herself to the intensive study of these principles and became one of the finest practitioners of healing law. The point of view expressed by Bales is hardcore. No excuses, no prisoners, no exceptions. Mental healing. And it tracks slightly better with the teachings of Christian Science than it does with science of mind. And there's a great deal of truth in it. Try it for the small owies, the paper cuts, the bruises, and prove to yourself that it works, because it does. Dr. Holmes, being the kind man that he was, throws us a life vest, but the truth, in fact, remains the same. In the Science of Mind on page 209, since our spiritual understanding is not sufficient to enable us to mentally set bones, we call in a surgeon. Since we cannot walk on water, we take a boat. We can only go so far as our spiritual knowledge takes us. Principle is infinite, but we shall demonstrate its power only at the level of our concept of it. I depend on the convenience of my boats, and I know that if I should choose to expend my energy in the direction of discarding them, I could get rid of them or lessen my dependence on them. I can't walk on water yet. I appreciate and value my boats, and I know it's possible to change our experience in form by changing the way we think about it. So almost 20 years ago, I had LASIK surgery on both of my eyes. Before that, I wore Coke bottle thick glasses for like 30 years. The ophthalmologist who performed the surgery told me that in recovering my distance vision, I probably would lose my close-up vision, but that was okay because I was old enough that I should be losing that anyway. And he was surprised after the first year after my surgery that I could still read without glasses. I discovered several years after that, even after I'd started wearing cheaters to work on the computer and to read, that when I was absolutely, completely unstressed, I still didn't need cheaters to read. And I know I could get back to that if it was worth it to me to expend my mental capacity towards that end. That told me that my reading glasses were more a reaction to stress than that they were an actual requirement. So now I want to slide over to another way in to today's topic. In 9 days, I intend to start a 7-week certificated class called Revealing Wholeness. The 2 books that are required reading for this class, one, the Science of Mind textbook that most of you already have, and the second is a book by an MD named Alyssa Rankin called Mind Over Medicine. Dr. Alyssa's focus is on the ability of each one of us to use our consciousness to heal ourselves and to awaken the healing response in others. Her book is solid wall-to-wall stories, some her experiences and others she discovered in her research. In the chapter about the nocebo effect, if you think something bad will happen, it does, she wrote, most studies suggest that negative beliefs affect your health. One study showed that 79% of medical students report they developed symptoms suggestive of the illnesses they were studying. Because they get paranoid, they think they'll get sick, and they do. And at the school, not only had the doctors and nurses staffing the student medical clinics heard similar complaints from years of caring for medical students, they also informed Dr. Lissa that the symptoms actually had even been given a name, med studentitis. As we think, we experience. As we decide what it means, we experience. The third avenue into today's topic comes from Dr. Ernest Holmes' Science of Mind, page 179. Healing is not a process, but a revelation. For the revealing of the perfect human always heals. This goes hand in hand with the quote that I used in the description for today's talk. The perception of wholeness is the consciousness of healing. If we can't imagine what wholeness looks like, there's no way for us to achieve it. There's nothing to be fixed. There's only something, wholeness, to be revealed. What's wholeness? What's wholeness to you? How do we have an experience of wholeness if we're not even sure what it means? Health, joy, life, love, abundant good. We get to decide. We get to put our energy and our attention in that direction for that purpose. And then that's what can manifest for us because we've decided and we've put our intentional focus in that direction. This is why affirmations need to be stated in the positive present tense active voice. We have to claim the good we desire and convince ourselves that this can be the truth of our experience. And then it can. This is why anytime we start feeling sorry for ourselves or start feeling that another person is somehow pitiful or deficient or decrepit or lacking in some way, we are not helping them. In fact, we're adding to their diminishment. We're not making them, that would be, that doesn't happen, but we're not supporting their ability to change. And our job as conscious beings in this teaching is to remember that wholeness and to reveal it as often as possible in ourselves and in others. So think about it. What does wholeness look like for you? Can you grasp the essential nature of it? What would it look like for you if wholeness was revealed? We learn and we practice this with this tool or process or technique or whatever you want to call it of spiritual mind treatment. That's the reason Foundations class spends so much time and focus on this tool, because it's a I want to use the word weapon. It's not a weapon. It's a way of achieving a goal, because it gives us a point of access into an experience of wholeness. It's a way we can move our minds to that experience of wholeness until we manage to live there full time. I don't. I'd be the first to tell you. But each one of us can reveal to ourselves and embody and sense and know wholeness in ourselves and about ourselves at any time. Every single one of us has that ability right now. And it doesn't happen automatically. It requires intention and attention, and then consistent and persistent focus. Because without it, well, stuff happens. We know we have this tool. We know we have the possibility of using it, and we have to actually do that. And we know when we remember that cause is invisible. It's mental. It's intangible. You can't touch it. And it always creates the effect, which is form, which is visible, which is physical, which is tangible, which is outside the world in front of our eyes. And we know that this world has to reflect what's going on in here. So if I go back to that remembrance of a paper cut, if I decide that I really have a bad owie paper cut, I'm going to have a really bad owie paper cut. But if I decide that that is something that is not necessary for me to manifest in the world of form, I may not be good enough to make it go away immediately, but I can certainly speed its healing by what I think and how I view it and how I carry it in my mind. Cause is always mental and invisible. Effect is in the world of form. Cause causes effect. It's a primary teaching for all of the new thought ways of, all the new thought philosophies. So I want to close with a piece from Eckhart Tolle from The Power of Now. What you refer to as your life should more accurately be called your life situation. It is psychological time. past and future. Certain things in the past didn't go the way you wanted them to. You're still resisting what happened in the past, and now you're resisting what is by remembering the past. Hope is what keeps you going, but hope keeps you focused on the future. And this continued focus perpetuates your denial of the now, and therefore perpetuates your unhappiness. It is true that my present life situation is the result of things that happened in my past, mostly what I think about them. But it's still occurring in my present situation. And being stuck in it is what makes me unhappy. What if we can forget about our life situations for a while and pay attention to our lives? What's the difference? Your life situation exists in time, past, future. Your life is now. Your life situation is mind stuff, stories we tell ourselves. Your life is real. It's happening now. Find the narrow gate that leads to life. It's called the now. Narrow your life down to this moment. Your life situation may be full of problems. Most life situations are. But find out if you have any problem at this moment. Not tomorrow, not 10 minutes, but right now. Do you have a problem right now? When you are full of problems, there's no room for anything new to enter, no room for a solution. So whenever you can, make some room, create some space so that you can find the life underneath your life situation. How do we do that? Use your senses fully. Be where you are. Look around. This is why Sharon's meditation was so perfect for today. Just look, don't interpret. See the light, shapes, colors, and textures. Be aware of the silent presence of each thing. Be aware of the space you're in that allows everything to be. Just listen to the sounds and don't judge them. Listen to the silence underneath the sounds. Touch something, anything. Feel it and acknowledge its being. Observe the rhythm of your breathing. Feel the air flowing in and out. Feel the life energy in your body. Allow everything to be, within and without. Allow the isness, the I amness of all things. Move deeply into the now. Remember, each one of us has control, management. We are in charge of our thinking, after all. We have that capability and that power, and we have to use it. Use it to reveal the wholeness of your own life and see that wholeness in you and as you at every moment. And then you can share that with others in your world because you are present and you are focused and you are clear. Do that. Bless yourself and bless us all. Thank you. So now I'm going to roll into the prayer. So if you want to hold something that I said that gives you a feeling of success or power or control or the ability to engage in life on the terms that you choose, do that while I speak these words. I breathe into this presence, this power. I breathe into this experience of life. I know that it is motivated and empowered by love. I know that it expresses in and as and through me, in and as and through each and all. I recognize the great joy that radiates from me, radiates from each and all. And I know that this joy is self-generated because each one allows this capital L life to flow through them. So I celebrate this opportunity to be, and to know and to do and to practice, revealing the wholeness of this I am presence that lives as me, and know that that same presence lives as each and all. I bless each one of us as we practice and we engage in this practice of being the being we wish to be in the world, being the light, being the joy, being the love, being the peace and the power, and showing up as poise. Each of these qualities of the divine desires to express through us, and we are at the controls, letting that happen. So I celebrate this capacity that each one of us has. And I know that as we practice and deliver this, everyone benefits. Celebrating this opportunity to share and be and know and do, I relax into this great good and I celebrate its creation day by day by day. Knowing the words are true, I let them be, and so it is.